Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Denise,
Thank you.
Andrew, Pamela, everybody here at PAM. Thank you very much. First and foremost, George, thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for blessing us with you and your presence and your art. It feels ridiculous to say somebody is a Renaissance person, but with you, I keep looking, and it's like there are no other words. You are truly a man of not only the moment, but a Renaissance person for the highest ideal. Thank you for being here tonight. I also want to say thank you to Vivian Scott Shue for bringing us together. Thank you to Louise West, my stepmom, who worked with Vivian many years ago. And I want to thank James Andrews of The Authenticated. We had a chance to listen a little bit to your story last night at the clubhouse. And we're going to follow it up tonight talking about your art. I've brought together some images to prompt us through a visual conversation and to pick up on some of the things that you and I have already discussed. But I have to just ask you, where did you come from? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, where did I come from?
Where were you born? Let's hold off on the image just for a second.
Oh, I was born in Kannapolis, North Carolina. Okay.
North Carolina, definitely in the house.
That's about 25 miles north of Charlotte.
And how did you come to making music in the first place before we move into the images?
Well, when I got to New Jersey, you know, rock and roll was just beginning. And I had a cousin who was deep into the R&B rock and roll. She used to take me to the Apollo. I went to the Apollo a couple of times. I saw Frank Lyman. I fell in love with, and I was hooked ever since. I mean, it was like a drug to me. I was hooked on music from then on. I was 14 years old on that picture you was just showing.
Yeah,
I was
14, let's go to the picture.
That's Parliaments with the, okay? That's me at the back. Okay. And
so this is when, 1950s?
That was 1957. 1957. You can see the Parliament sweaters we got on there.
I love it. Between 1967
57 and 60 and 50 and 66, we came out with the record called I Just Want to Testify.
Right.
That was
this is a doo-wop record. This is the record that kind of put you on the scene, right?
Right. That was the one that was our first single. And we became the Parliaments, and we was on the road, and I've been on the road ever since. But that was our first hit record. I Just Want to Testify. 2 years later, we became Funkadelic with an album called Music for My Mother. That was the psychedelic part of us.
But tell us a little bit how you went from Parliament into Funkadelic. And also, I want to say that, give us a sense of, this is part of the Renaissance part, right? Because look at that picture. If we go back to you as a doo-wop musician in the 50s and move through the 60s, by the time we get to 1970, we have a very different vision of you. And you can see a little bit of that here. So how did you get there?
We went crazy. Matter of fact, the whole 60s psychedelic era came in about 68. And of course, we all got on that tip in trendy chemical substances and all of that. We were in it. I mean, we was flying high without a mothership. Okay. And we did an album called Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow. That was our excuse to go to where you seeing now, to all these pictures. We freed our mind. We couldn't be Temptations. We couldn't be the Miracles, you know. So we decided to do our own thing, because I got a thing, you got a thing, everybody got a thing. Our group was called Parliament-Funkadelic meant thing. That was the two groups in one. Okay, and that was this image that you see right now. And by 72, we had Bootsy joined us. He came, him and his brother Catfish, and he bought Fred Wesley and Maceo Parker from JB's. So that's when you get Chocolate City, Up for the Downstroke, and then the Mothership Connection. And
so we were listening to some music beforehand, but tell us a little bit what that sound is.
That, we call it P-Funk, pure funk. I mean, I took ideas from the blues, which my mother was into, the church, which my father was into, the doo-wop, which I love myself, and then Smokey Robinson was my hero when it came to songwriting and doing lyrics. Motown was my superhero. Okay. And I started letting people that I like influence me, which means the Beatles and everybody else. And by doing that, I was able to adapt to whatever styles that was coming in, or whenever there needed to be a style that wasn't in, we made up our own styles. From the diapers and the sheets to the costumes you see here. We did every wigs, sometime nothing. We did it all. We didn't want to be a singing group or singers. We wanted to be a thing. We wanted to be a play. We wanted to be able to do a funk opera, which is what the Mothership was the beginning of. We wanted to we got Jules Fisher to build a spaceship, Larry Legaspi to do the costuming. He also did Patti LaBelle's costumes and Kiss and all of that. We got them to do the costumes. So we were able to do our own theatrics. And with Bootsy and them in there, we had 3 groups in there, Parliament, Funkadelic, and Bootsy. And that was the Earth Tour. That was the Mothership Connection on the Earth Tour. And that was successful. Then we decided to go underwater.
Let's back up that image for a second.
Okay. This is Funkadelic. Then we did the Motor Booty Affair, which was underwater.
Right. But before we get to that slide, I just want to go back to the other one because it reminds me so much of what you were doing was about art. It was about not only creating a sound that could be described as avant-garde or innovative and something that came from a history that you knew so well, but that you made into something brand new. But you did that visually as well. And I think that's the through line that I find so interesting to get us to this point where we're talking about your own 2D art. And we'll get to that in a minute, but I'm just curious about that sense of self-presentation and that self kind of appearance, the way that you carried yourself in costume is something that runs through your work all the time.
But the whole thing of the psychedelic era, it was all about, colors and the Beatles and all of you always hear people talking about colors. And like I said, I'm colorblind, but I could feel what they was talking about, in the psychedelic era with the Peter Mac and all of the Beatles type, art. And that always intrigued me. So the costumes, I think I just bought everything that I could find that was weird. That was our ambition, to be the weirdest things there was. And we went out of our way to try to out-weird each other, And no matter how crazy we did it, people still seemed to like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter if the colors clashed or they were sick-looking outfits. If you wear things with confidence, it becomes positive anyway. Yeah. And so I felt that throughout the costumes that we was doing, and I guess that transferred into the art, because the way I make records is the same way. I remix them, mix them, remix them till it sound like something I like. I have no idea what I'm doing in the beginning. Okay. Just a beat, and then I just throw stuff in it till it feels good or sound good, and everybody starts smiling. Then I feel like I got something. And I think
the response.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened with the art, being around, my art teacher, which is Overton Lord, you know, you start feeling things, and then they start telling you what you need to do to be correct, but not being able to see the color. I had to rely on it as a rhythm. I had to rely on it the same way I make music. Keep doing stuff till it start looking like something and feeling like something. And I'll show you later where he organized the paints in certain sections, hot, cold, and black and white.
Okay. We'll get to that. Let's go to the next image. So another big part of you constructing this visual idea of who you were, of what Parliament-Funkadelic was. Then in 1973, you went to the cover art and you started working with Pedro Bell for the first time.
Pedro Bell from Chicago used to write me letters, and he used to paint on the envelope, all over the envelope. And it was so weird and so nice that the Postmaster General in Toronto wanted to know if I was part of some kind of organization politically that was subversive or something. I thought that was funny. So of course, I thought that was cute too. I called Pedro and asked him to do the Cosmic Slop album. That was the first
bottom left.
Yeah, that's the first one that he did. And when he did it, he actually became the interpreter of what I was trying to say in most of my thoughts in the album's concept and the theory of Funkadelic. He became the spokesperson on the canvas. If you read some of the writing, he would take the stories that I tell him and put them in his language. He had a flow of slang that nobody else had.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, you can sit there, you can sit on the toilet and read the albums for years and never see everything on it. I mean, I still can pick up those albums and find something that I haven't seen before.
Yes, sir.
Especially like on the one Standing on the Verge of Getting It On. His interpretation of that, when you think about that title, and then you look at that picture and read all the stuff that's there, he was the interpreter of Funkadelic. He made that part where people relate to it as followers. We started getting not only fans, we got followers that's my age. I'll be 80 next year. We got fans my age right now, still Funkadelic diehard.
Absolutely.
That was part of it. That Funkadelic image, all those album covers of Pedro Bell on Funkadelic.
Absolutely. We could talk about the covers forever. I mean, that's an exhibition in itself right there. But tell me how Pedro came to make the images. Was it based solely off of listening to the music, or were you also talking about it in the process of him making the work?
I would give him the songs, so he would hear what I'm talking about in the songs, and he would interpret it from that. And from what I, just talking to him, he would call me up periodically and ask me, just to drain my head is what he called it, and just to kick it. And then it didn't even have to be nothing about that album. He just liked to hear what I'm doing or what the band is doing. If you notice, he drew all the members of the band, and each one of them had their personalities. So he pretty much knew the group by the time he finished with finished with the cover. He knew the group and what he wanted to say.
Wow. Let's go to the next image. So a lot of what you've done in terms of the fashion and in terms of creating this image obviously still continues on. I mean, these are just recent images, and you're in one hand on the Grammys, and one of the top image on the right, and then on the left from the Sakai fashion show. I believe both of those are from last year. So it's this continued influence has been there nonstop for all of these years.
Yeah, I tried to get out of it maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. I tried to go back to an old conservative dude. I figure I'm 75, and I tried to change. And Ice Cube told me, he said, "No, man, no, get the costumes back, man. Don't try it. Get the costumes." So when he said that, that's all I needed was somebody to suggest it. I really wanted to do it anyway. You know, I figured I was too old to do it, but when he said, no, we need that, man. So you see these costumes, I found a nice designer in Los Angeles on Melrose, and where I used to shop at during the 70s anyway.
Yeah.
Not the same store, but they had the same kind of images that I wanted to portray in this space age. I've been waiting on the 21st century for a long time. I'm a Star Trek freak, and I was waiting to do that, you know, with the image that you see here. And of course, that's Grady Thomas, who's behind me there. He was in the 7th, 8th grade. He was in the band back then. He's no longer with us, but we met at the Grammys with that picture. And Sakai over here, that's the One Nation flag. That's that'll always be part of my you know, image. You know, and they did a real good job on that.
So it keeps going.
That's my wife there with me with the other matching costumes. I don't usually match things, but we matched up on that one.
Shout out to Carlon. Let's go to the next image.
Wow.
The Mothership now sits in our museum in Washington, D.C., right? First time it came out was 1976. Tell us about the beginning of that piece and why and how it came about.
Well, like I said, I wanted to do a funk opera, but I wanted to be bigger than any, you know, group, black or white or whatever. I wanted to be the biggest one ever. And Pink Floyd did big productions, but I wanted a spaceship. And I just happened to be with the guy that ran a record label called Casablanca, Neil Bogart, who I had known for years. And I know he was a promotion man. He would know what I meant when I said, get this prop, we'll be able to sell some records. He got the loan for me. I got the spaceship and the costume. That was Larry Legaspi. Like I said, he did Cats and all of those Broadway plays. He did all the designs for the clothes. And I got myself and Bootsy on the other side. I hooked both of us up. And we had all kind of expensive costumes to match the spaceship. If you're gonna have a spaceship flying through the galaxy like a player, you had to be decked out. You know, you had to have your, you know, your rags on. And so the spaceship was something people had never seen, nothing that gigantic before. And when we landed at, say, Madison Square Garden, you couldn't even hear yourself for the rest of the night, no matter how loud the band played, and we played loud. That spaceship just was like the center of attraction. The first time we used it, we messed up because I started the show by bringing me on in the spaceship. And there was no way to follow that. You know, we could have took a bow and went on home after that, after, you know, we first landed. But we did that the first night. We knew not to do that again. We made the spaceship come on last. That kept everybody there, no matter how long you played, they would stay there till the spaceship land.
That's interesting because it also brings forward the idea, were you coming or were you going? And
yeah, we didn't know at first. We didn't know we was coming or going at first. But by that second show, we knew we was going. We was leaving this planet.
We'll see a little bit. I have an image of some of the influence of that, but I just have to ask you here, you know, how did you come to that vision at the time, especially as Black artists who were decidedly intergalactic, out of this world, what we would later call Afrofuturism? Well,
mainly because I didn't see no Afros in Star Trek except for Aurora, the lady that was on. You didn't see us there. So my thing was, after Chocolate City, you know, seeing us in the White House, I thought, well, yeah, the next place they never seen us was outer space. And that was the theory. So that I made the whole concept with the Thumposaurus people, the clones of Dr. Funkenstein. The whole cosmology came to life once I started thinking of it as, you know, us being in outer space, driving like we driving the Cadillac, leaning and partying on it, you know, having a good time. It all just came together once I thought of it like that.
Yeah, but also grounded in reality. You mentioned Chocolate City, and I think the president was Muhammad Ali, First Lady was Aretha Franklin. I have to ask here because who was your Secretary of the Arts?
Who was that? Say it again.
Secretary of the Arts.
Stevie Wonder. The fine art. He was the Secretary of Fine Arts.
That's right.
And of course, that all came to pass too.
Let's go to the next image. So one of the things that I'm reminded of is that so many artists have taken from the body of work, who have learned from all of the things that you have done. And so this is a poster from 1984 by the conceptual artist Adrian Piper. And I think the similar idea she had in mind was, if you free your ass, your mind will follow. And hopefully that would lead to some real change. So we still need that, right?
Right. I mean, that's the way we dance. You can dance your way out of your constriction. Once you free your mind, your ass will follow. And the trademark on Bootsy was the star glasses. He was a rhinestone rock star, monster of a doll, baby baba. That was the theory of Bootsy. He had that image. So we did his whole image right the same time we did Mothership. We did his image at that same time and transformed him into a mega star. And right. it was that look, those glasses, the bass, it was a whole departure from, the JBs, which he had been part of that. But now it was like the superstar, like I said, mega star. And we was able to do that with the Brides, Parlette, all of them. It was about the image, and the artwork of the covers, because I know how I felt when I would look at, say, Beatles, Sgt. Pepper. Mm-hmm. When I look at that, each one of those guys was like superstars in one group. Mm-hmm. They all had their own look. And so we knew that you didn't have to look alike. You could be separate and have your own personalities and your own image. And that's what we banked on. And I mean, it took some of the guys in the band years to come out of their suits. Mm-hmm. The rest of us had gone crazy already. And a couple of fellas wouldn't be caught in no dashiki or the diaper. Definitely not a diaper.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about what you've created, is there is this collective sense of community at all times. Let's go to the next slide. So I have to say, for me, in 2001, I co-organized an exhibition called One Planet Under a Groove, trying to riff off of One Nation Under a Groove and trying to suggest some of the ways in which you spoke about Black liberation vis-a-vis creativity. So that's why that image is there. And it's definitely a reference. Let's go to the next one. And we mentioned the influence, right? So Afrofuturism being discussed in books, Natasha Womack's book, and several others have expounded on that idea and that concept. And I think acknowledging, the work that you've given us. The middle is a drawing by Robert Pruitt, who likewise has thought about the music and your creativity, and then a tribute exhibition. And I leave those there just to put us in the frame of a wider conversation around visual art specifically. And now let's move through a couple of images from works that you have created in the last 6 months. And then I think we're going to turn to the studio for a moment as well. So tell us a little bit about the work.
Wow. That's one of the ones right there that was actually done prior to the pandemic sequestered series that you're going to show. That one right there was back in, I would say, 99.
Ah, okay.
That was in 99. Oh. That was in 99, and I think Overton had started telling me about editing. And I was trying to experiment on editing, but at the same time, he wasn't around, so I did some sloppy stuff that he didn't know about. I got there's sand on that paint, it's oil, acrylic, and markers, and then there's sand, actually rocks mixed in that to that paint there. And it actually stood up for a long time, and it actually looked better now than it did when I did it. You know, when we got this thing together for you today, we just happened to pull that one out because it actually looked kind of artsy-fartsy.
So how long have you been making paintings? This takes us back 20 years now, right?
Oh, I mean, I started out doodling in the books, 90s.
Okay.
None the 90s.
Okay.
I started out just drawing eyes for my signature when I autograph something.
Okay.
A couple of eyes and a dog. And you'll find a lot of dogs in the pictures that I draw, because that was my signature for a long time. And then people started liking it. I actually sold one for $15,000 in San Francisco at an art show. And I think I got a habit from then, but I was still performing. I didn't have time to do a lot of it, but I knew it would be a second career if I ever had to do it.
And now you have some time. So let's go to the next image.
Oh, wow.
So this is new, right?
Yeah, that's Name That Feeling. That's a new one. Overton thought that was pretty good, and I didn't know. It was actually another piece that went with it, but he only took half of it. And we found out that's a new concept we do. I can draw two paintings together and then tear them apart.
Yeah.
And you got an interesting.
It's amazingly interesting.
Yeah, it's a whole concept now. And matter of fact, a lot of people liked it, and we had to get together and name all these paintings. You can notice I'll have to think about what we name them, because we just had to do this real fast since you and I started talking. My thing was pandemic sequestered artsy-fartsy funky art. But now it's actually looking pretty good as we done got it cleaned up in here.
It looks very good. Let's just run through these images and then we'll get to the studio. And here, so there's an interesting play that's happening, obviously, between, there's a representational image, we see the face, but you're also just playing with color, playing with composition and form. And you mentioned that you were colorblind. How do you go about that?
Well, like I said, I'll show you in a second. I got the table is laid out over there with the colors separated, but I have to feel my way through it like remixing a record. I just do it with the rhythms of. He just told me about the strokes in like a language, like you're writing in lexicon. Once he told me that, I got the feeling that, and so it actually makes me come up with things that I can appreciate myself. I don't know what colors they are, have no idea. But even matter of fact, I think I make up colors because I mix things that ain't supposed to be mixed together. But when I blend them out with some white, it always get to be a texture that I can appreciate. It blends it. It's like I compare it to like a haircut. I used to be a barbershop. I used to be a barber. When you fade a haircut until it fade out, I can do that with the paints. I can make them blend. And if they're the same value, the right value, it blends in and it don't look muddy or sloppy. But it's a whole technique now that with that and learning how to edit, watching the different people I see paint, it actually got a rhythm and a feel for it, just like remixing a song. It actually feels like a song when it started getting right. And it's actually deeper than I even know what I'm doing sometimes. People be analyzing. When they ask me to make an intellectual comment about it, I don't even know what the hell to say other than it feels good and I like doing it. But as a matter of fact, you can't get me out of here.
That's why I wanted to keep these in a little bit of a sequence, because you can really see the trajectory. You can see that you are working through different ideas in each one of these pieces. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. So here, a little bit looser, a little bit more expression.
Yeah. This is part of the pandemic sequestered. It's about the viruses. I call it computer bugging, debugging devices, and vice versa, and various viruses.
I feel it.
It's, a lot of them you're gonna see is got to do with that corona image that's stuck in my head. Not that I was trying to do that, but it's just that that became a good thing after a while once I got to doing it, and it actually started looking like something. I kept to it, so you'll see a lot of them that's gonna look like bugs.
Let's go to the next one.
I was just bugging.
Another one.
Okay. And that's one that myself and Overton collabed on. You can see the part I did on the right, and he did the iPhone on the left there.
Mm-hmm.
That's my art teacher there, Overton Lord.
Yeah, we're going to see Overton in a minute, right?
That's it.
Let's go to the next one. I love this piece right here.
Oh,
color.
Epistemology Mayhem. I was just, and you know, I just got into the spray can.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about that, but that gave me another lexicon that I could use and then go over it with paint and copy the strokes that I did with the spray. And that one came out pretty interesting, and I got quite a few of those, and that's part of the lexicon, as he called it.
Love it. Let's go to the next one.
Oh, definitely one of those pandemic bugs.
Feels like
that. You can see that's one of those viruses and they travel through dimensions. You know, it's like coming through a portal, coming in through a dimension, not just landing out of the air, but coming through a special place. You'll see a lot of the pandemic characters like this here.
Definitely. I got a couple more here. Let's run through a couple more.
Oh.
Interesting, because you also make these references to not only the pandemic in terms of the form and the figures, but then also, you know, BLM we have in here and a couple more coming up. So,
yeah. This is out of this world series. Remember the Negro League and the baseball?
Yeah.
This is one of those images of one of those the costume that they had and the way they looked back, I guess back in the 50s, 40s and 50s. That's what this character was. Out of this world series 22.
Love it. Next one. Yeah, definitely.
Nothing but a bug. He's bugging.
Right in the moment. Let's go.
Yeah, he's definitely bugging. Oh, that's Tweety Twump. That's Tweety Twump. You can see him, he's coughing that corona out there.
I see. One more.
Oh, Think It Ain't Illegal Yet. That's one of the songs from, you know, One Nation Under the Groove. I think it's that album. One of our hit records. And what's going on right now, you know, with the Black Lives Matter situation. And it's about the whole world is into that. And the thing is, think it ain't illegal yet, because it will be illegal in a minute.
Thank you for saying that.
I mean, it's on its way there now. You won't be able to outright think. There will be a charge if you think too much in a minute.
Yeah. All right, let's push back to the studio.
Okay, let me walk around here. Okay. First of all,
wow.
This is the setup. I can sit here. I know the hot, the warm, the cold, and the black and white. And there, I can read the colors on there, and I have to keep it like that. Otherwise, I get muddy and have to get myself out of a jam. Okay, that's the setup on that. How are we gonna walk around? Okay. No, yeah, over here.
Wow.
Over to Lord here. Matter of fact, this is what was that? Mars Attack. Remember? Rock. That was that character.
Yeah.
Let's show some of these. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was a good one. Some of these we haven't named yet.
Sure.
Culture Vulture, that's it.
But you're in the studio every day during quarantine?
Every day from morning to night.
Woo.
That's the dog pound up there. Okay. Oh, this is like some sloppy stuff I used to just cut out things and paste them together. Matter of fact, they just put it on a shoe. This is on a shoe. Fluvog just did a shoe using this. I never would have thought that anybody would use it, but it's actually a shoe that just came out yesterday. Lots of Xeroxes and copies. He showed that one already.
And you have a series of kind of head drawings on the wall there in front of you?
Those are the dogs.
Those are the dogs.
Dog pound. All you can see, I'm into dogs. This is one I've just done recently. This is one of those ones where it's chalk, crayon, oil, and acrylic all together, and pastel. Overton told me that's illegal, but I didn't know no better, so.
So you can do things that might not happen if you had some more rules on you, right?
Yeah, once I get the rules, I know not to do them anymore, but until then, you know. Like.
Thank you so much for doing this. I think we're gonna pause and go to some questions. Thank you.
Okay.
For the studio. Okay. Thank you, Overton.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, George, Overton, Franklin. I think I'm like starstruck through Zoom, which I didn't know was possible. So we'll transition to some questions quickly.
Okay, yeah, let me get back over here.
Yeah, get comfortable.
Oh, this is the revolution will be tweeted. The revolution will be tweeted.
Yes, that big pin.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were looking at that the other day. Wow.
And retweeted.
Okay, so the first question we have is from Jason Jules, and he asks, when George first saw glam rock coming out of the UK, what did he think? Was David Bowie influenced by the P, or was the P influenced by Bowie, or is neither the case?
I think that was both ways. You know, I think that happened both ways. I know I peeped him. And then, you know, when I met him, he thought I was pretty flamboyant. I said, you got a nerve. he was definitely out there. But I think we pretty much was on the same wavelength at the time, you know.
Great, thank you. Let's see, we have another question from Shire Regans. She asks, which visual artists inspire you?
Over to Lord, Pedro Basquiat. What's Jonah's last name? Jonah Korinsky from right there in Miami.
Nice, thank you.
Lauren Housley.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see, the next question we have is from Jason Fitzroy Jeffers. He asks, can you tell us about the story of the fishing trip to Miami that inspired Parliament's album, Motor Booty Affair, and your relationship with Miami in general?
Well, wow. But first of all, Overton Lord here is the one that did that album cover, the Motor Booty Affair, all those characters. I used to go fishing, I still do. I used to fish there a lot. And I was looking for, like I said, another theory where you didn't find Black people. And so I was fishing all the time, so I thought about underwater, you know, the Motor Booty, having a party so jamming that you can raise Atlantis back to the top. And I used to see all these advertisements for lures and things like Mr. Wiggle. That was a lure, fishing lure. All of those things, I just took all the commercials that I saw people spending money on to sell their product I knew they was pretty catchy. So I used all of those for the titles of the song, and it got Overton, and he drew the Queen Freakalines and Howard Codell. Matter of fact, that was a picture over there of one of those characters. Yeah, that was Fishing in Miami, and Bimini was the inspiration for that album. And like I said, Overton has been there with me all the time, so he did that one.
I love it. I love the fishing inspired. Let's see, we have a couple more questions we'll get to. Megan McCauley asks, how do you call in your creativity and artistic energy? Is it always there, or do you have to conjure it up?
Give me a joint and I'm gone. give me a joint and I'm really gone. And if I run out of joints, I'm gone. It inspires you both ways. You know, you get certain inspiration when you can't find a joint. And if you do find one, you can actually, it works. I mean, I just love painting up things. I'm up in the morning for daybreak now. So the question, I can't go nowhere. It really is. I can't wait to wake up, run down here and do something.
Inspiration either way. I love it. Let's see. Vivian Scott Chu asked, are your paintings for sale?
Say that again?
Vivian asks, are your paintings for sale?
Well, by the time we finish this, I'm hoping that he'll help me figure out how to sell it.
Nice.
Right.
You certainly have the setup for it already. Let's see. We have a question from, I can't read the screen name, so I'm just going to ask the question. On the art side, do you have a favorite medium? And as for music, can you share your appreciation or lack thereof? James Brown, ?
Wow. You know I love James Brown. that goes without saying. And art medium is basically acrylic, really. I probably would like spray paint more if I wasn't 80 years old, and it might make me sick. But acrylic, and I really do like the pastel. You know, I like the strokes and things I can do with that. I actually paint something with one thing and go over it with something else to make it more acceptable. I'll do it with the spray, and because I like the strokes I make, then I'll go over that with a brush with acrylic paint, because I can actually do the lexicon better with the spray and get more imagination.
Right. Thank you. We have one last question from the audience before we go to our special giveaway. Ade Joshua Omotosho asks, Sun Ra started as a doo-wop musician too. I wonder if you have any thoughts on these shared origins?
It took me years to find that collection of his doo-wop records with the groups in Chicago. I had no idea about that part of it. Then I found a collection of his doo-wop records, and we were alike in a lot of ways than not to have actually worked together. I've seen them only one time, but when I go back and look at his history, everything I pretty much was thinking about, he was thinking about it too. And I pretty much knew Jimi Hendrix was like that too. You know, had those same kind of ideas, the doo-wop R&B stuff. He played with the Isley Brothers and all of that, and then went out of space. I think that's just in our DNA.
Right. I love it. Well, thank you so much, both George and Franklin. I want to encourage the audience not to leave yet. We have a special giveaway of 2 pairs of headphones. If you want to hold them up for us, George.
Yep.
These are Entrance headphones that have been manipulated by George himself, and we're going to be giving away 1 pair for our Facebook audience and 1 pair for our YouTube audience. And we're going to do that by way of a trivia question for each platform. So George, please don't give anything away.
Okay.
For Facebook, and it's going to go by the first person to answer it correctly in the comments. The Facebook question is, what song was P-Funk's first R&B hit to top the charts at #1? And the question for our YouTube followers, the first person to comment correctly will win the second set. is, what is the name of the barber shop in New Jersey that Clinton partially owned and that was a popular hangout spot for local singers and musicians? So please write your responses in the comments, and the first correct response will write to you and get these headphones to you from George.
Okay.
Yeah. And with that, I think we'll sign off. Thank you so much again, George. It's been a pleasure, an honor, a treat to have you here with us. I think on behalf of Franklin and the museum, everybody, thank you.
We want to thank Michael Goodman for the headphones too.
Yes. Thank you, Sirmans, for the headphones, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you want to get over to over here in the corner.